for us as a department and for our teams to, that's where if there's a recruit that's like, oh, I'm going to go check out a bunch of lacrosse games and just see how it's going, teams I'm interested of going to. And, we have our location. Charleston Southern has their location about, being in a great spot to go to for a lot of people up north, whatever. Just thinking about lacrosse for us. That's where the fans are kind of clicking around or recruits are kind of clicking around and they want to find us on ESPN. And so that's kind of where we want to be. And the numbers have kind of proved that.
Welcome in to the newest Sports Prod Pod. I'm your host, Nick Case, joined by Alex Souza. It's the busy season. Cheers to you, Souz. The busy season, so we're squeezing these things in when we can. It is currently a Sunday morning. Souz is hammering some dunks and some McDonald's. I have got the remnants of a coffee. Dennis is busy. So he and Souz and I are going to have a nice little chat about our friends, the worldwide leader in sports, ESPN, hence my wonderful Disney mug that I'm drinking out of. Everything's about cohesion and bringing everything together here at the Sports Prod Pod.
We love synergy.
We love synergy. It is one of our favorite words. And we really felt we could have a good discussion about what ESPN has meant to us because we were around first at the Big South Network together. And then when you went to the Sun Belt, what was their network called?
Well, when we were in the Sun Belt, when we first joined, I think they had something prior, but when we first joined, it was kind of in 16, it was like a hodgepodge. I think we were prepping to go to ESPN at that point. Like everyone was kind of like assuming that would happen. And we were doing everything on our website and not really calling it anything. So I think they had something prior to us joining, but I'm not sure what it was.
But either way, we were there for the Wild West of individual streaming, basically entities from each conference and transitioned over to ESPN Plus. And we were able to see what a difference it made going from the Big South Network or follow us Coastal Sports Network whenever you can to, hey, now you can find us on an app for ESPN and truly speak to what it meant to join the entertainment sports programming network in one way or the other.
Yeah, and I even actually started Big South Edge in 2008, which, I mean, name of the century. But yeah, that's where we were streaming on before it transitioned to Big South Network. So we were the Big South Edge coming out then when I just got out of school. So yeah, it's been a ton of transition.
Really unfortunate. I didn't know about Big South Edge, and I'm really sad.
We had a logo. I'm going to find it. I'll send it to you.
Yeah, I'm really sad. I'm sad it didn't stay because that's a hell of a name. I know we previously mentioned having Mark Bryant from the Big South Network on, and he's game to do it. We just need to find a time, and we're going to have to ask him about Big South Edge because I need to know about that because Mark will have been there for that.
Oh yeah, Mark helped me out big time. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. So Mark Bryant's a huge piece of my career. So yeah, and I don't know if he named it, but if he did, then even better.
Yeah, it seems like it could be a Mark Bryant thing. I'm not going to lie. So I joined Charleston Southern officially full-time in 2015, somewhere in there, 2016. And the word on the street then was we are on Big South Network, but we are prepping for ESPN Plus, or an ESPN streaming entity to come, not known as ESPN Plus. Mm-hmm. We would get the occasional ESPN 3 game, like everybody, to kind of prep themselves. Same with when I do work at the Citadel on the SoCon, was a little more integrated with ESPN, but they would have ESPN 3 games every so often. And so you had the idea that this was coming, and it kind of touches on what you just said about transitioning over to the Sunbelt's Nebulous Network and knowing ESPN was coming. And what was that prep like for you?
Well, it was kind of like drinking from a water hose, fire hose, probably better, more than a water hose, which, I mean, I think we're all doing right now in all areas. But, we joined, we did our press conference, and then I was just getting email. Hey, this is what we're doing. This is where you need to get to with, gear, graphics, et cetera, et cetera. Because, I mean, we were all TriCaster 3-play, live text, all that stuff. And it was like, can you get here on your own, or do you need us to do something? And it was kind of like, we had just joined the conference. I'd come back from the Colonial, which had its own network and was doing its own thing. and coming back and was like, whoa, hold on, let me like at least sit down for a second. But it was cool to kind of see like emails from, at Disney.com or at ESPN.com, and it's like, oh, okay, this is kind of real. And so, we made a decision as a school and a conference pretty early on that, all right, we're not going to get to these standards on our own right away. A lot of our sport programs and things like that, we're having to, do more travel and, compete at a higher level, et cetera, et cetera. So my setup wasn't going to get all those resources. So great thing about the Sun Belt is they were like, okay, cool. We got ESPN to front us for some of the deal, and they built out these trailers for schools that did not have control rooms or didn't already have a trailer. So now we didn't have much choice. It was kind of a, hey, we're making 5 of these, and ESPN is part of the deal. So we're going to make these the way we see fit. Like, we're not going to custom, make them all. But I think that was also a good thing because it got us to ESPN standard the way ESPN wanted us to be for ESPN Plus right away, without us saying, well, I don't know if we have the ability to integrate with expression as well as you guys want us to. It kind of forced us to up our game, and that was really cool. And it helped. It forced me and the students to up our ability with dealing with SMPTE fiber and all that stuff. And it was like, whoa. I mean, I was used to plugging, running SDIs, BNCs. That's what we were doing. And so getting into the fiber game and figuring out like a proper audio board instead of just running something through a camera, it forced us to get better and for us to learn. And I think that was a really good thing. And ESPN was with us all along, and the Big South hired Alpha as the integrator and also consultant. Also Tupelo Honey, whatever they were called at the time in 2018. They were a consultant, so working with those folks on the engineering and production side was huge because we needed it. For a long time, our video and our streaming, it was very good, but it was students behind us while we did the marketing show. And so it was just, all right, guys, we got all the cameras, have at it. Make sure the bug's right. We weren't really doing, graphics, insert graphics or anything like that. So it was a big step for us, and Tupelo helped us a big time. Tom Cavanaugh helped a ton. He's become a great resource for me throughout my career. Tom Cervisi was awesome. He told me as we led up to our first game, he's like, hey, you're not ready. You're going to have to figure some stuff out real quick. I was like, oh, all right, cool. Did not know that. So yeah, it was cool. All the help was there. It was still a struggle for us early on, but ESPN knows that those 4 letters are going to be on our broadcast. That they want the best product we can put out, if possible.
Yeah, they definitely differentiate themselves versus other streamers we won't name that just seem happy to put things on air and put their logo on it. But ESPN definitely has high standards. Tupelo Raycom at the time.
Yes, yep,
For
that's
those
right.
playing at home that want to fill in the trivia gaps. But yeah,
Formerly WebStream.
yeah, formerly WebStream. I'm sure
Yep.
there's something else that we knew before that too that we could keep going if we wanted to.
It's like
Uh,
naming some guys. Like, just
yeah,
gonna name
let's name some streamers. Uh, um, yeah, Kavanaugh was really helpful to me back then too, as we tried to integrate our stuff. I remember the odd ESPN3 broadcast that we'd have. We'd get emails from Kavanaugh, hey, do you need any help? And it was anything from, just walk us through some things to, hey, send us crew. I remember taking a producer for a football game so I didn't feel quite so drowned, because if I could get the option for help, I will take it. Um, Another ESPN3 game happened to be right after a basketball game, which had never happened to me before, a doubleheader like that. So I just said, I need camera people. That way I can make both happen. And it made my life a lot easier to then have them bring in their camera people, which happened to be a lot of the local Charleston freelancers I already knew. So it was really helpful for me to then have that comfort of knowing, while I'm finishing up basketball, hey guys, over in the trailer, this is your stuff. Go set up. I know you can do it. You're set.
Mm-hmm.
So just in that comfort level, they were huge. But I got a lot of stuff from ESPN that I kind of didn't agree with, honestly, in the buildup. and it was in the readiness factor. Because I felt like a lot of it was pointing towards our facilities at Charleston Southern,
Mm.
which, for those that don't know, um, second smallest gym in D1. You're never going to be set for an ESPN proper show there. It is not. It's just not, and that's fine. There's no need for long lenses in the Buck Dome.
No.
When your max is 900 people, you don't need that. But they were approaching it from, if we were to have to put on a show here, do we have the capabilities? And no, they didn't, and that's understandable. But I looked at it as a quality versus a quality show versus a quality of equipment, I guess, for lack of a better term,
Yep.
and always kind of disagreed with that. But I also understood where they were coming from in that aspect. The soccer field, like some places, just a pitch with some stands. Is that up to ESPN standards? No. And so I understood where they were coming from with these things, but it made me want to prove to them with my equipment that I can put on an ESPN quality show. And I feel like that upped my game as a result, that I was going to put on a better show to say, look what we can do. Like, we can put on an ESPN quality show. And I felt like we did. Um, but what really helped once they came into the fold was, um, they do provide some financial help as a way of saying, hey, this is how we're going to help you meet our standards, whether it's through the conference, or going directly to the school. And every year that helped me be able to maintain equipment and add equipment, the money that they would include. And, talking to different schools, it varies by conference and amount, but still just having that influx and not having to rely on the school to say, hey, I need a TriCaster Mini. It's $15,000. Can you pay for it? Well, I don't have to worry about doing that, because guess what? I've got my own money. I can make this happen. Um, that was a huge help. And then people like Major Howe, who is
Yeah.
now
Major.
at
Yep.
UCF, coming in to campus even a couple times, always bringing me Starbucks. Major, big ups. Thank you. Uh, Possible future guest. He coming in and just saying, hey, we've seen your shows, we like what we see, but here's what you can add, here's what you can make better. Having that resource that, Mark Bryant, as we previously mentioned, is great at the Big South, like one of the best, easy to talk to, very helpful, always willing to reach out and chat if you need it. But he can't be in all places at once. It's a lot easier to have a dedicated person for regions and schools that can come out, hang out with you for an evening, hang out with you for a broadcast, and say, hey, this is what you're doing well. Here's what you can tweak. That was such a huge resource.
Yeah. Major was huge. We had another. I'm looking through my emails because Major was our first one. Actually, he emailed me first on September 18th, 2016. Um, So, and yeah, Major was huge. We had another, his name Jimmy, I think, Jimmy Starling, maybe. But I mean, they sat me down. I'm looking over at a Ross switcher and taught me that, because again, we were on TriCaster, and it's TriCaster does the job, and I think it does the job really well. But I mean, it's a whole new world when you start doing a real production switcher that gets beyond small school or prosumer or whatever church level stuff, and just showing me, either how to build a custom control to take font to, or how to do it yourself and all that, and just like drilling me. There's before a basketball game, I just drilled putting keyers up and taking them off, and now that's how I teach our students. And I would have had no idea. I always knew what I liked when I watched an ESPN or Fox or whoever broadcast, but I learned very quickly I did not know how to do it. Um, and we could show, we knew like we're using game cam mostly, cut to close ups, blah blah blah. But like the ebbs and flows and looking at a format, and you know looking at camera assignments that Joya and Sean would send us, like that was huge. And it was good because I can't sit here with 140 something shows and go over that with the students, but I can send them a really good Excel and video, or not Excel, but PowerPoint and video from Joya, and be like, this is what it should be. And now you at least have the information, where I might not have been able to, sit down with all 30, 40 of you and get that across. So yeah, all those folks that were dedicated to us and still dedicated to us, and will pick up the phone. And I'm sure Major, even at UCF, would probably pick up the phone for us right now if we needed them. I think that was honestly the biggest thing. Yes, the Sun Belt and ESPN and Alpha plopped a production trailer down that was ready to go for their digital broadcast, but I think it was the people in the sport, which I think is what they kind of say about Disney and ESPN. It was more about the people for us that made it possible to be able to essentially play catch up. Because I mean, we were relatively early in the streaming game, but we weren't really highfalutin at any point. We were getting it done and getting it out there and getting it out there a lot. We were kind of quantity over quality for a while, and then they helped us up that quality.
I'll just echo what you said about TriCaster to Ross because when I was doing the Big South tournament, I saw this a bit from Byron at Georgia Southern. We were on the same crew. And then I saw it a lot from Lucas at the Citadel, two people that I'm sure have been mentioned on the podcast a bit, setting up their switchers, their Rosses, their Carbonites, even the mini Carbonites, and just going through the motions and seeing what they can do with it. And I'm just like, God, I need to learn this.
Mm-hmm.
I can program and run the hell out of a TriCaster, but I need to learn this because this is that next level. It's not intimidating, but it is definitely something different, and it's impressive. It's a good skill set to have.
Yeah, I actually going the other way when I did the Sun Belt Championship for baseball this year. It was TriCasters set up awesome. Like it's great, and it's I forget which. I mean, it's either a TC1 or 2, but and they had it set up great. But I kind of am of the way, like, even when my students use our Carbonites, I have a different setup than they do, and I use a different bank because I do some different things. And so, not that the TriCaster was like all of a sudden below me. It was, I think it did a great job. I just sat down and I was like, I have to leave this the way it is. I can't spend time to try to really learn this right now because I haven't been using a TriCaster. We use it on our secondary shows, but I don't really direct on that. And so I sat down and I was like, nope, we gotta do what we can with what we got. And once I learned it, day 6, I thought we finally did a good job. I would have loved to have sat there and kind of built a show the way I like to build a show. But I think, seeing when I would take a break and the producer would step in to direct, it's a lot of, who's setting it up too and who's used to it. Cause he was doing things that I was like, whoa, where's this all coming from? But he's used to that system, and he made it look so much better than I could because I just didn't know it. It goes both ways, but yeah, the Ross, I love it. I like to kind of build some stuff out that either make my life easier or strip it back so that I don't try to do crazy stuff depending on the show. Like football does not have all the keyer stores and all that stuff that I have at baseball. Football is, here are the cameras, here are the wipes, run away. Don't try to do these split screens and all that stuff. Yeah, it's definitely a different beast, and in that it's by sport too. And luckily, the cool thing about Ross, and I'm sure TriCaster has it, I just don't know it, but you can kind of set those and load those as banks and things like that. And it's nice to give a student a set, and then full timers have a different set for us.
Going back to you mentioned the people. Yeah, everybody that I dealt with never once had an issue with anyone at Bristol or Charlotte or wherever they were floating around. And, you made the joke, let's name some guys, but let's name some guys, man. We already mentioned Major Howe. You mentioned Joya Kasky.
Yep.
It's really bothering me. I can't remember Sean's last name. I'd remember it any other time.
Murphy.
Sean Murphy, yes. Yep. Sean Murphy is great. Kevin Hendel, still keep in touch with.
Just talked to Kevin the other day.
Yeah, I need to catch up with him, see how he's doing. I think he's a listener. I gave him the link and he said it was great we're doing this and invited him on. I'm waiting for that. Everybody that we'd ever deal with, any side of it, was very understanding, very helpful, very accommodating. I was actually with Lucas at the Citadel a couple weeks ago trying to get something set up in Expression, and just sent Joya a text and said, hey, you got a moment? It's for one of your schools, but we want some help. And she called me right away. Like, even when I'm gone and not in that system, Kevin and I still talk. Joya and I still talk. Major is not with Espen anymore, but we still chat occasionally, a couple times a year, just check on each other, see how he's doing at UCF. And see how I'm doing as a freelancer, and they are people that will help you, but they're relationships that you keep beyond that. And I think that really says a lot about the people they hire. And I'm not just saying that as a current part-time employee of Disney.
Yeah, I will always like. I used to dread the like the August emails from Joya, or whatever beginning of the season emails. Coming up to basketball, coming up to baseball, and it's like, oh no, I forgot about that. It's coming. But Joya has helped me out in we hire a new football coach and we want to keep it a secret, and then all of a sudden leak it to Pete Thamel and like have our create our own news thing. So I have to call Joya and be like, hey Joya, can I set up a, a stream link that no one knows what it is? And she's helped me through that. Same when we had a basketball coach retire in the middle of the season. And then one of the coolest things ever since we joined ESPN, we have been fighting to get rid of Coastal Car. It's our least favorite thing in the world. We hate it. We hate it. We hate it. And Joya knew it. And, Joya sent out the abbreviations list one time. And I saw it come through, and I got another email immediately from her just to me. And she's sending it to her, whatever number of schools she has. She might be sending it to every school that does ESPN Plus. I don't know. But definitely to all of her conferences. And she sends me a separate email, said, hey, you might want to check that one. And I opened it up, and I honestly, like, I'm getting chills right now, but I like started tearing up when it said Coastal straight down the line. And I called her and I was like, honestly, this is the coolest thing you've ever done. Thank you. I don't know how much you had to do with it, but you're the one that told me. And that's the coolest thing. And it's really cool to see, that, no matter how many schools she deals with and how many emails they all get in text and, expression graphics folks that get everything, thought like, oh, I saw Coastal came through and we finally approved that. I'm going to let him know separately. That was really cool. And I think that speaks to kind of how Disney does things, but how ESPN's always done it too before they were Disney. But I mean, it's all about, relationships and the people. And I'll remember that forever because we've been fighting that. And I called some people over in the main building, and the AD was like actually celebrating like we had won a game. Like our brand has been so important to just be Coastal. I mean, our website, school website is coastal.edu. And we're like, we're pushing it. And it finally came through. It was really cool. And the fact that Joya knew that was something that we'd been battling for and let me know, I thought that was awesome of her.
Charles Sal. That was ours. CHRLSOU. And we were like, how can we change this? This needs to be changed.
Yeah.
I think at a certain point, I realized it was not the fight I needed to have, so I gave up on it. And I think it is still Charles Sal. But yeah, we went through the same thing. I think everybody had that reaction when those new tri-codes dropped at a certain point.
Yeah.
Or the tri-code standards. A lot of people were unhappy. So I'm glad you guys won. I mean, you guys deserve it. I'm not saying Charleston Southern doesn't, but you guys are Coastal. You deserve it.
I mean, it's nice to be known as the way the whole world says. Like, it's cool. So I think we're still Coast Car, or at least Coastal Car in the bottom line. So there's still battles to be won, but that's okay. We'll get there. But there's like in the ACC, there's the Coastal division, and then there's the CAA for whatever, I know what reason, but for whatever reason going to Coastal. So there is some mix up there if you're just looking at a bottom line and not, okay, there's a bunch of teal on the screen and the bug says Coastal. Like that's obviously us. So I understand if there is a little mix up on the bottom line. So I'll let it go for at least this year, mostly because I don't have a choice.
Yeah. There was one thing that really struck to me when the transition happened from the conference networks to ESPN Plus, and that was, we get our viewership numbers and legitimately doubled, if not tripled, right away. And I was like, oh, what difference is going to the ESPN branding going to make? And it turns out a lot. People will just randomly tune into a show. I mean, I know earlier this week I was doing it as games were starting. I pulled up the new ESPN app, which we'll get to in a bit. And I was just throwing on random soccer matches just to see how they look. Mm-hmm. And yeah, easily just regularly tripling the viewership numbers in a way I did not expect.
Yeah, that's been actually kind of eye-opening. There's some times where we've gone still on our website, even as often as or as recently as last year with some lacrosse, because we're an affiliate member with the ASUN and they are with ESPN Plus and ESPN, but we just couldn't match the standard for ASUN or ESPN depending on basketball going on and baseball, softball, and it's like, well, let's still get it on with one camera, announcer, score bug kind of cropped in there from the video board. Give it to them for free. I mean, free on the website, link on the socials, all the same, and it does, it pales in comparison to what the ESPN Plus broadcasts do, um, both in amount watched and total number. So like I kind of understand the length of watching. Like it's not the greatest broadcast when you're doing that. Like I understand that, but even just total viewership, way bigger. The next week, same time frame, all that stuff, way bigger because there's national lacrosse fans just checking it out. In similar teams, it wasn't like a larger team was in the next week, and it, like you said, it was around triple. And you have to pay for ESPN and all that. And the brand and where people are and where they expect to find their sports is on ESPN, and so being on there is really big for us as a department and for our teams to, that's where if there's a recruit that's like, oh, I'm going to go check out a bunch of lacrosse games and just see how it's going, and teams I'm interested of going to. And, we have our location. Charleston Southern has their location about, being in a great spot to go to for a lot of people up north, whatever, just thinking about lacrosse for us. That's where the fans are kind of clicking around or recruits are kind of clicking around and they want to find us on ESPN. And so that's kind of where we want to be. And the numbers have kind of proved that.
Yeah, I always am shocked at the fact that the women's soccer matches at CSU would garner thousands of views.
Mm-hmm.
And one day it clicked to me. They're all daytime because there are no lights on the field. And they are usually Wednesdays or Tuesdays at 2 or 3 o'clock. What other things are streaming on ESPN at the time?
Right.
Not a lot.
Yep.
So we were one of the few options. So people would always just tune us in to put us on in the background, which, hey, thanks for clicking, Mm-hmm. Or when you have the odd, for me, at Charleston Southern, a school of less than 4,000 people in the Big South, one of the smaller FCS conferences and one of the smaller conferences, period. And like I said, second smallest gym. When you have the odd football game or the odd basketball game that eclipses 5 figures in viewership, when you have a 12, 13, 14,000 viewership game, that's pretty cool, man. I always approach these broadcasts the same way I approached when I was in radio. It's just the parents watching. It's just my mom listening. So
yeah.
To see that it's not just the parents watching, and it's more like not that I feel the pressure of putting on a good broadcast, but it's like if I have a screw up, it's just the parents. One fat finger is not a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see that later on that game had 9,000 viewers, and you're like, whoops.
Oh, that's a lot of parents.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a couple years ago, 23. We were informed like 5 days prior that promises were made to teams coming to play at Baseball at the Beach, our opening tournament weekend, like that February 14th area. I mean, we usually bring in some big Power 4, Power 5, whatever you want to call it, teams. And some promises were made that I wasn't involved in. And so we all of a sudden had to stream, Duke, Kansas State. No, it was Duke, Indiana. And it was like Indiana's turn in the Big Ten to be the good Big Ten baseball team. They just rotate, like Illinois is probably this year. But it was Indiana's year. And we had Duke, Indiana, and we put Sam and Jack on the call. Jack DeLongshaw, Sam Wiederhaft. I think I got those numbers later because I remembered we did it, and I emailed Patrick at ESPN. I was like, oh, can I get those numbers too? Like we only have ours, and it was like 35,000 people because it was at 11 a.m. on a Friday. It was we went back and looked. It was the first baseball game of the year in the NCAA or NCAA D1, and it was like, oh, and it was like a number 15 and number 19 matchup. And it was like, yep, middle of the day, all these sickos been waiting however long, and they're just grinding on February baseball. And we put together enough of a show, and they hung around. Is pretty good. Had like an hour per viewer watching. It was probably in the office, and they were just in the background. But I'll take it. It was really cool. Yeah, it's. I wish the only thing I wish ESPN had, and I don't know if the new app has anything like it, but like I long for the clicker. Like I would love to like just kind of like click around and find something as opposed to having to get back out of the stream and back in. If that was there, we would probably even triple what we're doing now because people would just, oh, cool, they're on, they're not on commercial. Let's hang here for a minute. Um, that would be unbelievable. I'm sure people would have tried that by now, but that would be the coolest thing to be able to just click to it.
Well, I mean, I've noticed on my Roku's where I do it. If you like click down, it'll give you listings of other events going on.
Okay, so that's like halfway there. Yeah,
Yeah. So you're kind of there.
yep.
And that is still present in the new app, which I bought. So if you don't want to, you don't have to, but I can tell you all about it. And I dig it. We're cord cutters. We have been for a long time, and it is really nice to not have to beg for a friend's direct TV login or sign up for a $40 a month sling just so I have access to ESPN anymore. And obviously, with the full Disney bundle with Hulu and Disney Plus, like I have, it is around $40 now. But it was a product I was already paying around $20 for.
Yeah.
So I'm adding $20 extra to be able to watch. I sent a group text to the group chat the other day of me putting away laundry, watching the Mina Kimes show with Lenny and with Chai waiting to see Lenny, but it was on ESPN News. I could never watch that before, and am I always going to make a point to watch Mina Kimes' show? I love Mina as at her job. She's great, but no, but I could do it finally. So I said, I'm going to do this. And then Saturday morning, I sent the Bundesliga quad box. Like, am I a Bundesliga
Why
fan?
not?
Yeah,
Why wouldn't you?
exactly. I'm not a Bundesliga fan, although I do like Dortmund. Um,
Yes, that's fair.
but they were black and gold, so they're my choice during the pandemic when things came back. I needed a black and gold team to root for.
You like
Uh,
black and gold teams? That's weird.
yeah, I know. Who thought? You know.
There's no
Uh,
way to tell.
but they had a Bundesliga quad box, and so I just put it on for a bit and just watched everything happen. And it was a very smooth integration. It doesn't seem any different than the previous ESPN app. You just scroll down a little bit further to see what's on right now.
Mhm.
I watched ACC Network their Syracuse preview because again, why not? I can, and to be able to then on Saturday if I'm free for some reason. So far, I'm not, which is good.
We like that.
Um, if I'm free, I can finally go to ESPN or ESPN2 and put it on, or ESPN3 and put it on, and you have all your ESPN3 options and all your ESPN Plus options and SEC Network Plus and ACC Network Plus options. And I think if you are a legitimate sports fan, I'm not saying if you don't get this, you're not a legitimate sports fan. I know it's not that simple, but if you do love sports, this is a genuinely good product. And I'm not saying this because, again, I'm a part-time employee and or work or I'm affiliated with them. No, they like this. I think if you are a sports fan, this is giving you what you need to fill that void. And it's so nice to not have to worry, like I said, about trying to leech off somebody else's cable login to try to get to this.
Yeah, my sister-in-law has provided me with many of TNT sign in and all that stuff when the Celtics are in the playoffs, and I'm like, oh, I can't watch it. Or no, I could because I do have like basic cable through the HOA, but we know I'm not in control of my television. So,
Yeah.
so when Love Island's on or Real Housewives is on, I am watching the Celtics on the laptop on TNT via her HBO Max sign in. So yeah, we I was thinking about this as I was when I texted you. I didn't have my golf cart, so I had a longer walk down here to the trailer. I was thinking, I was like, for someone that grew up and claimed to be like a punk rock kid, like I shouldn't be, so pro quasi monopoly as like they're moving towards. But I'm also almost 40 and love some efficiency and love some synergy. Not to that's a callback, friends. But
Another
Yeah,
thing we love callbacks.
yeah, love a callback. Uh, and yeah, I mean, I love the sign in, and I mean, just the fact that I had to watch and don't tell the ACC network or anyone there, but like I mean, I watched our games versus North Carolina and Clemson this year through our Twitter live cut because they were kind enough to send us links and all that stuff so that we could do our work on social. And so our social guy texted me and said, "Hey, if you want to watch, it's on." And that's where we watch it because I didn't have access um, to that. Now I could pay for it; it'd be like a little bit separate. I'm doing this, but if it's all in one spot and it's just one thing that comes out, I mean that's the goal. And so yeah, I'm into that. And I'm into the quad box that we have that I don't have currently. Because that's one thing I think we all do, and we're joking if we don't, is we check up on other schools and we check up on other broadcasts on how they're doing, whether we think they're doing better, worse, getting ideas from. We do it. I mean, I'll check out a Duquesne basketball game any day. But now I can do like four of those on like a Wednesday night. Um, depending on when those conferences play. So, yeah, it's definitely. I'm actually texting my wife on the phone about how much our Disney Plus is, and I know how much our Hulu is, and okay, does this make sense? And I know how much our ESPN Plus is. Does this make sense to do the full package? Because yeah, I'd love to, some of these features and things like that, and then the other stuff that they've been announcing, the deals they're making. I mean, it's becoming something that is definitely on the radar for me and probably a lot of people to kind of be a one stop shop, which you know they they started as they were the one stop shop. Like that's where you went for sports news way back in the day in games, and then a bunch of other people saw, oh, that's going really well. We're gonna dive into that market, and now ESPN's kind of trying to take that market back on digital. They're seeing the writing on the wall and kind of taking that big step and making those deals to kind of bring everything under one red and black umbrella.
Yeah, that's something I think is really interesting because a couple years ago they folded into what was the NHL Center Ice experience. Now you can go and watch any out of market any NHL game, and that's what they're trying to do with baseball now. Take MLB TV and fold that in, and they have already agreed to a deal with NFL Network, which will see them eventually take over Sunday Ticket, and basically all that's left is MLS is locked up with Apple for a long time, so that's not going anywhere. But NBA, and they have a foothold with the NBA, so I can imagine that would be too far behind for their center court or whatever it is. They're out of market package, and it is really interesting when you think about it. Like you said, they were the one stop shop because there's nowhere else to go, so people went there for the big games and the info. Um, they're still avoiding an MLB package, and yeah, they have an NHL package and an NBA package, but it seems like they're more going for we're your one stop shop if you're the out of town team.
Yeah.
Uh, we may pass on the big game of the week more often, but we're going to get you in for more games, even if it's less consequential, quote unquote, because that'll be a more consistent fan base coming in. And I think that's a kind of a smart pivot. And I feel like you, pro worker, anti conglomerate, but man, right now, sign me up. I kind of like this idea of just being able to go to one app and pay for one app instead of having to jump around to four different apps to try to find this stuff on a more consistent basis. That is kind of nice. Um, I don't know what it would mean for the future of an industry. Um, you hope that Mickey is benevolent, but in terms of consumer experience, it takes away some of that. I need to buy how many things and
Right.
folds it more into one. So that is kind of nice.
Yeah, I think we've talked about in the group chat, and I think anyone in sales and digital marketing knows that like you want to keep people on your website as long as you can. You want to keep viewers, whether you have a ton of viewers or a little bit. The main number that I look at and try to emphasize with our sales folks when they're selling on ESPN broadcasts is, look, we're getting hour long viewership per viewer. That's really good. They're going to see a lot of ads if we put those ads on, whether they're through graphics or through commercials. So, I mean, that's what ESPN's looking at instead of, yeah, here's Yankees Red Sox for the 1,000th time on a Sunday, which I think is tonight as well. Red Sox go
Probably.
for a 4-game sweep. No big
Oh,
deal.
jinxed it.
Yeah. And so if we can get you to watch all the games on Nesson, but through ESPN, which is what I do for hockey right now, I watch all the Bruins games, the Nesson feed, but it's on ESPN, then I'm on their website longer and they can sell more ads because there's more people because you're going to get all the out of towners like you watching the Penguins and then Pirates if they do all that, and then me with the Bruins and Red Sox if they do all that. But on there for longer, and it's generally if an out of town person is watching, August or July baseball game, they're probably like someone that's going to sit there for at least 5 of the 9 innings. They're not just checking in real quick. And so you have that viewership length that they're going to want, and you're going to see more of their ads, not the local ads and stuff like that. And I mean, that's huge for them. So if they can get, more folks probably, but definitely for longer, I think that's a huge get for them.
Yeah, as I said, it's kind of a subtle, smart pivot. Because there's a lot of talk about the collapse of the product on screen, and you can debate that however you want. I'm not the biggest fan of everybody there. I'm a big fan of other people there.
Mm-hmm.
Mentioned Mina Kimes, big fan of Mina, um, and other people along those lines. Um, but if this is how they pivot and this is how they survive, it's a great way to survive. Like you said, they're going to get the dedicated fans that
Mm-hmm.
are going to stick around and watch the Pirates still get shellacked 20-6 against the Reds on a Tuesday in June, and they're going to sell those ads and they're going to make money from it. And I think that, hey, that's brilliant. And they're paying billions up front, but it's the kind of deal that is going to very quickly pay back. I mean, I'm not going to equate it to a Marvel or Star Wars acquisition for Disney, but I mean, how much did they pay up front, and how much have they made since then?
Right.
Especially if it's the rights to NFL Network, like getting the NFL Network is going to be so big. It means so much in the long run compared to the short run. That is so much money that we all know the NFL just prints it. They
Mm-hmm.
could they could start doing exhibition games like a summer league in the middle of the summer in Las Vegas, and oh well, that just sell out.
We'd all complain, and then all of a sudden it'd at least be on in the background.
It's
Like,
it's the meme of the guy going, I guess, and just
yeah,
watching. And
fine, it's
yeah,
football.
yeah. So I just really smart by them, and yeah, like you, I don't want to say I'm punk rock because I'm not, but I'm
I
alt
never
rock.
really was. I'm from Cape Cod. Like, that's
Yeah, I'm alt rock. But and I'm pro worker and anti conglomerate, but this is kind of nice. It is the new app is nice. It's very smooth and integrated. The potential to add MLB, which looks like it's all but official, just waiting for the ink to dry, kind of a thing, to add that while they let the individual game rights go elsewhere, I think is going to be huge. I think it's just a matter of the extra cost. I was hoping that with the NHL deal, they wouldn't have an extra cost like that, but we might not get so lucky. But if it's like $5 extra a month, sure. I've been spoiled not paying for it as a T-Mobile customer, MLB TV. But if it's not much a month, fine, whatever. I'm cool with it. On top of being able to watch NHL games whenever, yeah, it's something that they're slowly working towards that are big. And there are certain things I hope stay in their place. I hope the Olympics always stay at NBC. That just belongs there.
mm-hmm.
I hope CBS always keeps the Masters the final days, because I know ESPN has like practice rounds. But CBS keeps that and March Madness, even though they lend out to Turner. I hope they stay there. But if ESPN kind of starts gobbling everything else up and it's all on that one app, I'm lazy. I like it.
Yeah, I think. I mean, just from watching the hockey stuff and all that, if it's just a rebroad, essentially they're just mirroring a screen, right? Like, I'm just not paying for Nesson 360 or whatever it is. It's on the ESPN app, and I'm watching the Nesson broadcast. They haven't like infiltrated there. They're not calling down to the regional networks and saying this is how you have to do it. Now, obviously, NBC, CBS wouldn't do that. So it'd be a matter of, is ESPN actually going to, like you said, gobble it all the way up? But for what they're doing so far, they haven't touched anything in the regional space. And I don't think they would, because that's just, they're not going to bring in more people and spend more on human capital to do that. So they're just essentially mirroring screens and buying some decoders and putting it on their app. So it's easy stuff for them with their infrastructure. So yeah, as long as like you said, there's some things that are just, that's where it goes. Like I want the you know NFC Championship game to be on Fox. I want the AFC Championship game to be on CBS. Like, let's not mess around with that. There's already all this stuff, extra games on Thanksgiving and Christmas, and we're going on Amazon. We're spreading things out a little bit. We're getting a little bit dangerous. So, there are some things that have been so dyed in the wool that you'd like it to stay the same. But, if kind of the day to day and the more of the I don't know, dog day stuff and the everyday stuff ends up on this app, then sure. But those special events, you just named all special events, and I did too, then those need to stick. Don't need to. I would like them to stay on, the networks that we grew up with. I mean, there's nostalgia rules sports anyway. So, to see CBS branding on, hopefully the Patriots make it to AFC playoffs again. Like, to see CBS branding on that, that's what I want to see. Like, that's what I grew up with. That's all I've ever known. My dad may say something different, but that's where it feels right for that stuff to be on there.
And as a Steelers fan, I will say this and you'll understand. There is something about a crisp November, December day, sitting down to watch your team and hearing that CBS theme.
Yep.
It's just very nostalgic, and you just feel like, yeah, this is comfort. This is comfort food.
Yep, absolutely. No, there's stuff that, in the end, we're going to watch our teams, right? Like, that's probably what's going to happen, and we're going to go where we need to. But and they're going to do business the way they need to try to make sure that their bottom line looks right. But yeah, there's just some things that feel right, and that's one of them.
Yeah, I did not want to watch that Christmas Day game last year against the Chiefs because I knew exactly how it would go, and it was in the middle of my Christmas stuff. But I still put on Netflix.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make a controversial statement. I hope ESPN doesn't touch the regionals because they're kind of boring sometimes. Like the regional networks.
Oh yeah.
Like I had my friend's DirecTV login, and it's based out of West Virginia, so I was able to watch Pittsburgh Sportsnet, and I was like, "Ooh, great! I wonder what they're going to air. Some like Penguins or Pirates or Steelers thing." No, it's some syndicated gambling show. I'm like, I don't want to watch this.
We're good.
Yeah. Most of the time, it's re-airs or stuff like that. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. I'm okay if they don't touch those.
Very true.
Yeah. Well, mere hours after this record, you have your own game going on ESPN Plus.
That's right. Women's soccer versus Belmont.
So if you want an idea of when this was recorded, you can go back in time and watch it archived on the ESPN app.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to claim any credit ahead of time for it or denounce it ahead of time?
I will go over there and basically create like a pressure situation for my GA who's running the game, and almost create problems for him to fix. So you guys can take that as you will, because we're trying to get everyone to where I am not there, because there are 140 of them, and then there are normal work days, and then there are setup days. So and we are a learning institution, and he needs to learn. So we're gonna go, and I'll watch the Open, and I'll be here in the trailer with any number of monitors with that game on and working on the football show. So I'll take a little bit of credit. I'm an executive producer, they call me, so I'll take a little bit.
There you go. Let's do a challenge. Let's do an Easter egg for anybody that might go back. Have your announcer drop Kumquat at some point.
Kumquat?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. And that way, if anybody watches
announcers, that's going to be fun. They might not know what it is. They're going to look at me funny.
Nice. We love that.
Yep.
Well, This has been a good episode of the Sports Broad Pod with Alex Souza. I'm Nick Case. I'm really hoping Dennis can join us next time. And all three of us can be back together. It's just that time of year. So there'll be times where Souz can't join us. There'll be time where Dennis can't join us. There may be times where it's just me saying, all right, I've got a friend. Let's have an interview. Either way, we're going to still be churning out content for you guys. And Souz, any other parting thoughts? Perfect. I don't think there's anything else I can end with. That's excellent. Don't forget to follow us on any of the socials. Twitter, it's still Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky even, Threads. Oh, God, anything. Don't forget to like and subscribe on any of your... What's up?
MySpace.
MySpace, yeah. We're a Zanga. We're on Zanga.
Name some guys.
Yeah. We're going to be releasing a zine soon. We're going to really go all out.
Oh, like a like copy paste, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. If the Onion can do it, we can do it.
That's right.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, make comment, whatever you need to do on all of your preferred ways of watching and or listening, whether it be the socials or Apple, Spotify, YouTube, whatever. Just please do it. We like doing this, and we like your interaction. And maybe we'll do a Q&A if we can get some interesting questions down the line.
I'm into that. That's fun.
Yeah, I'm in. Well, for Alex Souza, I'm Nick Case. Once again, Alex. Da-da-da. Da-da-da.
That's right.
And good night, satellite.